exchange for a 2025 fifth-round pick and a 2026 sixth-round selection. And Khalil Herbert going from the Bears to the Bengals.
It's time.
You know what time it is?
Game for Tuscaloosa's longest-running sports show.
The biggest goal of our team,
especially in the first half,
we at Bama, we're trying to be the best. Always is to win a national championship.
Something cool to look back on.
We don't want to waste a failure.
You're inside the game.
John Mechie on the ground.
Appreciate your interest in the game.
On your home for Alabama sports.
And Alabama wins.
Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app. Powered by Tuscaloosa Toyota. Now, here's your award-winning host, Ryan Fowler.
Stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
All right, a big good afternoon to you. Welcome into the game. I am Ryan Fowler, and a lot of things that we're going to be talking about today. And we are going to have a little bit of reflection. But last night was for many of you, and many of you spoken probably more than I could have ever imagined. A resounding yes. We want a president back in office that cares for us and that protects our way of life. And last night was for those that had to watch loved ones pass away in hospitals and nursing homes without or by themselves. Those were for the government restrictions that allowed so many different things, whether it was the education system attacked or whether it was, small business owners. Think about how many small businesses closed in our community and throughout the entire country. That was for last night. The world is watching, and today we're going to sit back. We're going to do a Southern Ale House score prediction day. We will also carry the Vice President Kamala Harris's remarks coming up, her concession speak, and I know a lot of her supporters listen to us daily. We will carry that coming up at 4 o'clock, and you'll be able to hear from someone that, hopefully can unite with the country of the speech. I think it's one of the most important speeches today is just the division continue from that side, because that's where it unites from. Where it originates from, and we're going to see if this, these remarks will do anything. You've heard a lot of people maybe refocusing, and who knows where this carries us for the future. But today, as we reflect on many of my moral values, very long evening for us. I think sleep deprivation was a thing that we had to all consider. And I went to bed, I think around 5:30 this morning, because I think the last time we went to bed in 2020, you thought it was going to go one way, but it ended up going the other way. But I'm a guy that I respect other people's opinion. I certainly have mine, and, I know that many of us agree. Probably there's a few out there that I hear from you guys quite frequently. I've already heard from some of you guys today, and that's okay. That's what goes with this territory. You can't make everybody happy. As Nick Saban reminded us, if you want to make everybody happy, you go sell ice cream. We don't sell ice cream. We give a commentary, and I was always taught in the radio business, you let people talk, you don't restrict them. We have allowed open phone lines on many different free-for-all Fridays presented by Brian Harden Construction to echo. And I think, my biggest takeaway was maybe how big it was. I don't think anybody that I was talking to, Jared in Houston, Texas, might have been one of those guys who said it's going to be huge. It's going to be huge. Robert from Mobile, also someone who educated us on the minority vote, that he thought the minority vote was going to be the part that pushed President Trump back into office, and he was dead on the money. His fingers on the pulse. He has talked about as a black person why he supports President Trump, and many others have as well. I believe Piano Man down in Hattiesburg, Mississippi is a guy that usually calls in quite frequently. He teaches, so he's not able to call in quite often, but he also educated us on that minority vote, and it was a sounding, just a wow moment when you look at it, because none of this is possible. And, for my party, Republican Party, is now a chance to embrace those minorities and not try to create more division, and understand that you got to live up those promises. You promised many people things, and now you've got the power, it looks like, in both the Senate and the House. So you'll have the executive branch, the legislative branch, and I think, the judicial branch certainly has a conservative tilt, mainly a lot of bipartisan conversation there, but you've got a little protection there. And, I think there's so many different things that I want to see accomplished, but I think this is a life party-changing a situation from where we stand. We'll do scores today. We also have a big guest lineup for you. And this is one of the things that we are going to dive on a lot of different things. We're going to have a lot of reaction. We're going to talk about Alabama being number 11. Aaron Torres is coming up in just a couple of minutes. Ricky Henderson, as we like to call him, he's a guy that leads out. If many of us were born in the 80s, we remember Ricky Henderson getting on base, and he would take us to second base and then to third. And how many of us watch Ricky steal so many bases? So Aaron Torres is going to join us coming up at 2:15. And then we also have T-Bob Hebert is scheduled to join us coming up at 3:30. We're going to feature, 2:35. And then we've had to move some things around. Josh from College Football Nerds is a friend of ours, and Josh is going to be joining us tomorrow instead of today. So we're going to feature with Josh. It worked out for both of our schedules today. So we are a sports station, and certainly we will talk about Alabama being number 11. And the pathway, Digger down in Louisiana, are along Texas, a very, very small number of Texas people that listen to our show. But Digger is one of those guys, and, his name Digger goes by the drilling of the oil. I guess he was born in the oil fields, or his parents were all oil field drillers, or maybe his dad was. I don't know exactly, but that's where his name comes from. I'm sure that he's probably a little bit happy today as well, because Alabama gets that chance. But I don't know if I would be very happy, because Kalen DeBoer has taken out Texas. Dose. He's took him out twice. Looks like at this point, now there's going to be a lot of things that are going to change, but Alabama would be projected to play Texas in Austin. And we'll see if Kalen DeBoer, can continue that streak, if that holds. But listen, there's going to be a lot of movement. But I think when you listen back to the committee, I think there's a lot of things that was said. And I think the one thing, and I'm going to take you for just a couple of minutes to a quote that was by Ward Manuel, which is the chairman. He was asked the question, I'm curious how much of the gap committee views in terms of a 2-loss Alabama compared to the other 2-loss teams in contention, especially in the SEC. It is mostly based on strength of schedule, or is it that win against Georgia? What's the committee's view on Alabama? And Ward Manuel responds and says, well, we obviously view them as the highest ranked 2-loss team at this time. But you really touched it. The home win over Georgia was impressive. What they did against Missouri, a 24th ranked Missouri team, the loss to Vanderbilt on the road at Vanderbilt was something that we looked at, as well as the road loss at Tennessee. But Tennessee is ranked number 7, but they're top 20 in scoring. Obviously, their defense is always solid, holding teams to less than 20 points per game. Those things impressed the committee, and in the balance, we felt it came out that they were ranked 11. That's Ward Manuel, and that's one of the comments that he made. So it kind of makes you feel just what we've talked about. You got to go take care of business. You got to go beat LSU. You got to come back. You got to get ready for Mercer, clean up some things, go to Oklahoma, and then come back for the Iron Bowl. And I think this would be a massive, massive season if you can get Alabama to the college football playoffs, especially where Alabama was at from a depth standpoint, 40, new players on this roster. Kalen DeBoer has navigated this. And if he gets to that 10-win number and he gets in the college football playoffs, he would be the highest first-year head coach in Alabama history as far as win total. Keep that in mind. That is huge when you look at Kalen DeBoer and the building blocks. We're going to talk about it. We're going to reflect on it. We will talk about it right here. Alabama, number 11 in the country in the college football playoffs, and really a pathway to victory for the Alabama Crimson Tide. We're going to talk with T-Bob Hebert coming up here in about 15, 18 minutes. We're going to talk with Aaron Torres, Fox Sports national analyst, and we're going to talk a lot of basketball, a lot of football. You never know what might be brought up. Torres, I hope all is well. Welcome to the game here in Tuscaloosa.
First of all, you got T-Bob coming up. You know, I always carve out like a 40-minute window with you because I just assume we're going to go long. But listen, great to be with you, Ryan. And let me just say this. Yesterday, I think it was a really important day for our country because it is indisputable that Alabama is the best basketball team in college basketball. So I know you want to probably start with the big football game, but I got to say the Tide looked awesome on Monday night. I know it was only UNC Asheville, but I cannot wait to see this team over the course of the season.
I'd like to go back. I never try to reveal private messages from anybody. It's not my goal, but I did kind of hint at the audience yesterday that you were going to say something about this Alabama team. And I go back to 2207, 1007. I got a message that says Alabama is blank, blank team in the country.
What did I say? Did I swear? Why did you say blank blank?
No, I'm sorry. I put
now I gotta go
there. Blank. No, it says Alabama. Alabama is the best team in the country. I chickened out and did not pick them to win it all. I already regret it.
Yes, that is true. Yeah. Okay, I want to make sure I didn't swear in our text messages. That would be inappropriate. Yeah, I said Alabama's the best. Yeah, I chickened out. I got to the Final Four. I've really liked Houston and Alabama all year. And in my all off season, in my preseason, I was like, well, I don't know about, and I picked Houston to win the national championship, and shame on me. But no, listen, what I would say is a couple of things. One, what I said all off season is largely true. Super deep team. And I think what stood out, and I've said this before, and it's certainly true after watching, they're like Noah's Ark. They got two of everything. They really do. Listen, first of all, so many thoughts. I mean, I'll just go in a lot of different directions. By the way, I did talk some basketball on my podcast today, the Aaron Torres podcast, if you want to go back and listen. I talked about Alabama, but a couple things stood out. One, the impact of Cliff Omoyori. We talked about that last week after the Memphis exhibition. But then also Aiden Sherrill, I'll be honest, I was not familiar with how big that kid is. And he came in off the bench. I think he had 9-10 boards as a backup. And, I just think when Cliff O isn't on or if he's in foul trouble, you're not going to miss a beat. And he just looks so much bigger and stronger and more physically developed than I expected. And then the other thing is, Ryan, I really question the three guards not Mark Sears. I didn't question him, but LeBaron Philon and Aiden Holloway, and how would all those guys play together? They all played significant minutes. Aiden Holloway last year at that other school that we're not allowed to talk about on this show, he really wasn't much of a shooter, and he shot the ball really well the other night. And then LeBaron Philon, I'll be honest, I really thought, is this the type of kid that's going to come in, maybe take a redshirt year? Where does he find time? And he played, and he looked confident. And so maybe I just need to do better homework because I knew how good a lot of these guys were. I think Philon and Sherrill, and by the way, that doesn't even include Darian Reed, who of course looked really good, but I knew he would be good. But Sherrill and Philon, I think, are a lot further along than I was expecting.
When you look at this team, is there something, and I asked Drew this yesterday, and he kind of threw something out, but I wanted to ask you from a national perspective, is there an area that you would like to see them improve upon? And I know they will, but is there something that you're watching and you say, this is what separates a team from really, going deep? Obviously the roster and, being able to platoon five guys is pretty awesome. But is there something there that you're looking at to say, if they do this, they've got a chance to cut down the nets?
Well, I think the big thing, and I think even Alabama fans would agree with this, the defensive effort was awesome on Tuesday night, Monday night, whenever, I guess it was Monday night. But it's got to continue for, 35 to 40 games, hopefully closer to 40 if you're an Alabama fan. And listen, it was a priority. It was a priority in the players that they brought in, Cliff O. It was a priority in the coaching staff changes, et cetera, et cetera. There was an open spot. And I know it's been a priority in practice. I just think that's going to be the big thing is can you do it consistently against those best teams? But I also think even last year, a lot of it just had to do with the makeup of the team. And Ryan, I remember, and I was thinking about this watching the game the other day, is I remember talking to you in, late January, early February, and I think it's easy to forget now, Alabama was not great in the out-of-conference last year, and then they really got hot in SEC play, and I really credited that to the difficult out-of-conference schedule. But I remember saying at the time, we got to give Nate Oates credit because I know they've won 2 SEC titles under his watch, but honestly, I bring it up because at the time, I remember saying this last January and February, I think they largely overachieved in SEC play. And so I bring it up because last year, I know it sounds crazy because they ended up in the Final Four, but I felt like they largely overachieved. This year, a lot of the best parts of that team are back. Obviously, Mark Sears, Grant Nelson, et cetera. But then you have these added elements as well, depth, what should be better defense, better rim protection, all that good stuff. And obviously, you got to keep it going from there. What did Drew say as his concern, by the way?
Well, it was very limited, very limited. I think he's been talking about the turnovers. He wants to see him maybe do a little better than that. So, I think that's what he said. I made him stretch out there. Because listen, Alabama fans are already tweeting out, and we had messages on our app messages that this is the best Alabama basketball team they've ever seen. It's one game, but they've also taken care of Wake Forest. They took care of Memphis in the exhibition, 2 games, the charity exhibition games, and UNC Asheville. I think it was you that pointed to this out last week. That's a pretty solid basketball program. They were favored by 27.5, and they beat them by 56.
Sheesh. No, they have been good. They made the tournament a couple times over the last few years. They did lose their best player, who ironically was a transfer originally from the University of Tennessee. But it doesn't mean that it hasn't been a good program over the course of the last couple of years. Yeah, no, that's a good win. And listen, you're going to get, the challenges are going to get tougher. Even the mid-majors, and Brian, I forget if this is what we talked about, but we know how difficult the schedule is with the high major teams. You're going to play Houston in the Vegas tournament. You're going to play Purdue. You're going to play whoever. But even the mid-majors, Brian Hodgson really has things going in the right direction in Arkansas State. McNeese lost a few days ago, but it doesn't change the fact that Will Wade is a really good coach with a really good team. So it's going to be crazy, I think, when we look back in February and look at who Alabama actually played in the out-of-conference, because there really are no easy games on this schedule. Even the games that you're supposed to win, again, the McNeeses, the Arkansas States, are a little bit more difficult than I think a lot of people realize.
I want to ask you, as far as the gap in the SEC, who is your second best team in the SEC?
Oh, it's a good question. I want to watch Auburn. I think they do some things really well, but I do worry a little bit about the guard play. They return a lot off of last year's team. Remember, they obviously won the SEC Conference Tournament title, so they were playing really well down the stretch, even if they lost early in the NCAA tournament. I do like Arkansas. Cal, it's easy to forget with Cal. They finished second in the SEC last year, and everybody wants to talk about how terrible he is and this and that and the other thing. They finished second in the SEC. They beat the SEC champ Tennessee in the regular season. They beat the SEC tournament champ. They destroyed Alabama. So Cal's got talent. It's about, can he keep it consistent over the course of a, 30, 35 game season? And I will say too, I think the Kentucky team is actually good. And I know we're kind of going down the rabbit hole here, but they're a lot different. They're an older team. The NBA, upside doesn't jump off the page, but they shoot the crap out of the ball. They're very well coached. They were picked to finish 8th. That was preposterous to me. I think they're probably a top 3, top 4 team in the league.
Torres, it's almost like I'm pitching myself. I mean, it's almost like it's a dream when you look at what Alabama basketball has been able to accomplish. I mean, from you and I talking through the Anthony Grant years, Avery Johnson, you know, we got people that here in Tuscaloosa that compared Anthony Grant. They're still hanging around, by the way, and we know who they are, even though they don't want to identify themselves. But they compared Anthony Grant to Coach K. I heard it with my own ears. I did. I promise you. Many people thought Avery Johnson, but what Nate Oates has been able to do is it's almost speechless. I mean, you just, I mean, sitting here and listening to what we're talking about. I mean, we're cutting down the, you know, Final Four. We're bringing that banner back. And now you're talking about, you know, as the best team in the country. You almost have to stop yourself at the track and kind of make sure that you're just not dreaming.
Well, and I mean, the best example of this is we haven't even talked about, you know, it's LSU week and we haven't even talked about that game. And I actually want to flip it over to you because I've spent a lot of time thinking about this game. I think I'm at a consensus on where I'm at with this game. How do you feel? How does the audience feel going into this one this weekend?
All right. So, and we got T-Bob. I actually pushed him back about 15 minutes.
If you got to be quick. I know you got to go.
No. Did you hear what I said? I pushed T-Bob back. I said, listen, we got Torres on.
Oh, okay.
I pushed him back. I pushed him back. He's going to join us at 2:45. So he said no problem. He'd do anything for his favorite fans in Tuscaloosa. And they have like a love-hate relationship. They hate him, but they love him because he likes to rub salt in their wound. And I mean, it's just kind of funny. But let's go to from my perspective on the LSU game. I think there's a couple of things that really jump out to me. Is you have to be balanced if you're going to beat Alabama. Nussmeier is going to have the game of his life. That's what it takes to beat Alabama. A quarterback that, you know, plays usually above their skill level. He's had a great season. When I look at their defense, I see a lot of problems. I think Alabama can run the football. I think they should have a lot of production with Jalen Milroe. And LSU can't run the football. I mean, they're the worst team in the league in running the football. They don't even have 1,000 yards in rushing. They're the only team in the SEC that does not have at least 1,000 yards rushing. I don't know if you can beat Alabama playing one-dimensional football.
Well, and I'll say, too, you know, that's certainly one of my takes. I think the other thing, too, and I've thought a lot about this, and I know you were out sick, and I'm so glad you're better. You were out sick the week after the South Carolina game. But I also think we can after the Tennessee game, excuse me. But I think we can go back and look at some of the struggles on offense in the Tennessee and South Carolina game and just say those are two of the best defenses in college football. Like, it's not even debatable, disputable at this point. And so, listen, do you want a better performance? Of course, you always want a better performance no matter who you're playing. But I think we can look back at that South Carolina game now where it's like, you know, listen, I remember watching it, talking to you about it, talking about it on my radio show, talking about it on my podcast. And I was like, wow, Alabama's O-line just stinks. They just can't block anybody. It's like, well, turns out nobody can block South Carolina's guys up front, you know. And then Tennessee has been consistently one of the 3, 4, 5 best defenses in college football all year. So I think that's part of it, too, is just that I just think that it's easy. It can be easy revisionist history to sit there and say, oh, you know, does the Missouri game mean anything? You know, they had so many injuries, this and that. But the counter to that is, you know, we probably at the time undersold just how good South Carolina is. And then Tennessee, again, has been great defensively all year long.
Well, and as you know, Vegas knows something. OK, when you start looking at this line, understanding that Tiger Stadium, I'm jealous of the atmosphere at Tiger Stadium. Alabama has improved and they're closing the gap. But Tiger Stadium is one of the best places to watch a college football game. I mean, the environment is it's off the charts. And when you look at Vegas right now, putting this line at 3 for Alabama, that tells me that not only are they better because you get the home field advantage, on a neutral field, this would be a 6-point spread. Now, it's not a neutral field.
I would say, yeah.
And the crowd, but I mean, Vegas believes in this Alabama football team.
Well, I was going to say, listen, this is a Brad Powers question. You can ask him. But I think the sentiment usually is that if a team is about a 3-point home favorite, that basically means that Vegas believes the two teams are even, and you kind of give the home team a little bit of an advantage because of home field advantage. And so if Alabama's a 3-point favorite on the road, it means that Vegas thinks exactly what you just said on the neutral field. On a neutral field, it's about a touchdown difference. So now listen, to your point, it's still a really tough place to play, and that crowd's going to be ready. But let me also say this too about LSU. It is worth noting, they beat Ole Miss at home earlier this year, but that was a game. This is still one of the craziest stats I've heard in a long time. LSU won that game in overtime. LSU never led against Ole Miss. This was at home. This was at Tiger Stadium. LSU never led at home against Ole Miss until the final buzzer of the game. In other words, they forced overtime to end regulation, and then the go-ahead touchdown in overtime was the only time they led, and they had second possession. So basically, it was a walk-off win at Tiger Stadium where they did not have the lead at any point until the game went final. I think that's just kind of an indictment that, listen, this team might, I don't know, we'll see. But I think that's an important thing to factor in as well. As even at Tiger Stadium, they haven't been lights out against really good competition.
Torres, I don't want to box you in with any other question right here, but Aaron Torres Sports Podcast, one of the top sports podcasts in the country. You cover college football from a national level. Was there anything in the college football playoff rankings that you didn't like or maybe you questioned in some of their rankings? Anything at all?
Well, I mean, I think the only thing that it's more of an annoyance. Just give us the teams how they're going to look in a bracket. Like, there's all this conversation, and I think the conversation is right, is like BYU, are they underrated at, wherever they came in, 9, 10, whatever. And it's like, well, who cares? Because if they win the Big 12, they're going to be the 4 seed. And so just give me a bracket that has BYU as the 4th ranked team in the country. And so maybe we need to, change it from a ranking show to a bracketology show. That's really the only thing that stood out to me. So much of this is going to play itself out. Now, I will say, there's a lot of talk about brand bias. I'm not going to go there. But what I do think is going to be so interesting, I think it'll be interesting in the SEC because there's so little differentiating these teams at the top, is I do think one thing that's been a little frustrating to me is just the totally imbalanced schedules in college football. And so I think it's going to be interesting, right? Is let's say Georgia loses this weekend, right? Let's say, and it's a bad example, but look at Georgia's schedule. Just look at their schedule. They play at Alabama, at Texas, at Ole Miss, plus Tennessee at home. That is brutal compared to Texas A&M. Basically, their toughest games are Texas at home, South Carolina on the road. Texas A&M. I don't know if I said Texas. So the only point I'm trying to make is I just think it's going to get really murky once we get past the conference champions determining who actually deserves to be in, because the schedules are just so imbalanced. Now, I think Alabama would be on the right side of that. You'll have the win over Georgia at Tennessee. Tennessee's a really good football team. But I just think it's going to get really murky and really gray trying to figure out teams 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 or whatever, 8, 9, 10, 11, because 12 will be an automatic bid, obviously. But that's the only thing. I know I'm rambling, but that's probably the thing that stood out to me is just give us a bracket the way it's going to play out the day of Selection Sunday. We don't need to BYU's here, but they would be the 4 seed. It's like if they're going to be the 4 seed, just give us them as the 4 seed. I hope that made sense. I don't know if it did, but
no, it made perfect sense. Torres, I appreciate you, man. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and let's go get a win. I mean, let's go beat LSU, and then we'll come back. We'll beat Mercer, the Bears, and then we'll go beat Chris Plank's Oklahoma Sooners, and then we'll take down Fear the Thumb for the Auburn Tigers, and let's go put Kalen DeBoer in the college football playoffs. I mean, that would be a pretty incredible season when you look at just making the college football playoffs. Yeah, I'm greedy. I'd love to see him do more, but I think you also have to stop and look at everything he's managed. If he puts this team in the playoffs, man, oh man, oh man, wow. He'll have some folks shaking in the boots.
I'll say really quick, I know we got to run. I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but I think after Saturday, we could realize that all of the overreaction we had after the South Carolina and Tennessee games may just have had to do with the fact that those teams are better. Now, you don't want to lose to Vandy, even though Vandy's better than we thought, but I think that we'll realize, maybe South Carolina and Tennessee just both had really good defenses, and we didn't factor that in at the time.
Aaron Torres Sports Podcast, one of the top sports podcasts in the entire country. You can connect where you get your podcast information on the Android or iPhone platform. Also subscribe to his YouTube channel. Find him on the Twitter account, X account. Elon Musk's X account at Aaron_Torres, at Aaron_Torres. RTR, roll, Torres, roll. Thank you, Torres.
Thank you. Roll, Torres, roll. Roll, Tide, roll. And I'll let anybody else, any RTRs you want to throw.
Weapons outside of Ryan Williams, like running the ball all right, an offensive line that's suspect at time. McCain Womack defense just doesn't seem to be clicking. The 13th ranked rush defense in the SEC, I don't know. People are talking about it. I'm sitting here saying, no, this is Alabama. Damn it, they're good. This is good. It's a national championship caliber team here. I keep telling people that. Nobody wants to believe me.
All right. And I know we have this unique rivalry in the LSU locker room. I've told your buddy Mike Detillier for years, inside this locker room in Tuscaloosa, it's not Auburn, it's not Tennessee, it's LSU. The rivalry's there, okay? Is it the same from an LSU perspective? Is Alabama their biggest rivalry?
I'd say in the modern era, absolutely, for both narrative and competitive reasons. Now, a bit odd in that for fans, it will be, and for players, I guess, is dependent on your time, right? Like Hester always says, Auburn. Because if you think back to those early 2000s, when Saban was at LSU, it was whoever was winning that LSU-Auburn game that a lot of the time was going on to represent the West and going on to bigger, better things. Older school people would answer something like Ole Miss, but look, when I was in school, 3-3 against Bama nearly every year, the person who won was going on to SEC championships or national championships, whatever. And then that carried through, at least for a while, in that Miles era. And then really after 11 in that Natty, LSU fell back, the Alabama game still became the one that everybody wanted to win for revenge, and it just kept not happening. And then you get to 2019, right? And the sort of monkey is off the back. The spell is broken a bit. But absolutely, look at the stakes of this game here, right? The loser, this is the first official playoff Thunderdome. The loser is out. The winner's not in, but the winner passes their last major hurdle before they have the opportunity to get in. There is so much glory to be had and so much anguish to be had whether or not you win or lose this game. For Alabama and Kalen DeBoer in year one here, how would y'all feel to be thrown down to the realm of mere mortals, what you're on the edge of being, out of the playoff race with basically a month to go? That would be unprecedented in the Nick Saban era. And yet, it's where we sit. And for Brian Kelly, year three, a year which he needs to prove that his system's working, that he can break through that glass ceiling he thought he had at Notre Dame. Can he get this LSU team to the playoffs? So I think the stakes are absolutely massive and speak to why the rivalry is so big. I randomly looked this up the other day because I was trying to figure out what the most watched regular season college football game of all time was. The 2011 game had 20 million people tune in.
All right. So going back to this Alabama, when you talk about regressing to the mean, how much do you think this is Alabama, or how much do you think this is the new college football?
It's a perfect storm of two elements that are dovetailing together. Because you are right. I even though the sample size is small, and we may find in a couple of years that this is an extreme year with some of the variants that we see, I do believe, thanks to the transfer portal, that we are seeing a democratization of talent, right? Because no longer can you and Georgia and Ohio State, at least to the extent they used to, no longer can you hoard all these 4 and 5 stars on your roster like you're Smog the Dragon, okay? The transfer portal is basically Bilbo, and we're here to steal your ring, and they're going to go all over the place. But it's been awesome, right? Because all of a sudden a team that maybe is a quarterback away or a position or two away, they're not away anymore. Look at a guy like Eli Holstein, Louisiana native, goes to Bama. In the past, Holstein never plays. He never ends up being anything. Now, he's got Pitt kicking butt in the ACC. He's doing great. Like, there's second chances, there's better teams, and it's two funnels that work in opposite directions that are doing it, where if you're on one of these great teams and you're not playing and you want to play, you have value to these other teams. So it spreads out from the top teams. And then when you look at the entire group of five, football's become a bit more meritocratic, where, yeah, if you play well in the Group 5 level, you prove you're awesome, you'll get the chance to get a better payday and go play at a bigger school on a bigger stage. Like, it's awesome. And what it's led to is in the Power Four, you have so many more complete football teams, or maybe less empty teams, so many more teams that don't have this one element that they just screwed up horribly in recruiting and now they're done for the year. No, they can be relevant again, and it's leading to so much fun every single weekend where you never quite know what's going to happen.
Why can LSU not run the football with a lot of success? They're dead last in the SEC when you look at yards per game.
It's fascinating because the offensive line is the best collection of pass blockers that I've ever seen in college on one line. But they're just average run blockers. And they run up against a lot of good defenses, right? I mean, South Carolina's defense speaks for itself at this point. Ole Miss defense is getting to speak for itself territory. Texas A&M's front seven is the strength of that team. So it's I don't know if it's like almost the opposite of O-line play in my day, now a decade ago, where it's like we grew up learning to run block. Like, you didn't know how to pass block till college. You may do some drills and stuff in high school, whereas these kids are now growing up pass block in their entire, like, 7-on-7, the high school, everything, and it almost feels like they're coming to the run blocking late. But I don't know. It doesn't make any sense that they're so elite pass blockers and just average run blockers, and it's not going to help. Major loss for LSU that left guard Garrett Dellinger's out, because he was easily your best run blocker, and you go from him to a freshman in Paul Mabinga, who's also really your seventh O-lineman, because your original swing guy, Tyree Adams, got hurt.
T-Bob, LSU wins the game by doing what?
Stay on schedule offensively. That's what got them into trouble against A&M. I think 24 of their 40 first-down plays, something like that, they gained nothing or lost yardage last game, and it murdered them. So whether that's running the ball or crafting up just like, quick hitters on first down, whatever it is, stay on schedule. And then defensively, you have to stop the run. Ideally keep them behind the chains, force Jalen Milroe to have to pass his way out of it in a tough environment. And if you do, I think Braden Swinton and your edges are good enough to make that happen. Also, if y'all wouldn't mind, if y'all could keep serving up those penalties, y'all been doing a great job with that this year. That would be excellent. Really pump up Death Valley.
Yeah, and that's what I think.
Bob, I hate Alabama too, dude. I can't help it. I got to talk. You know what? You hear him yelling? You're making my son yell. You're making Quad Bob yell. Are you happy?
I thought he said Roll Tide. Did he not say Roll Tide?
I wish my daughters were in here, because they sing a song, LSU, we love you, Alabama, boo, boo, boo. Yeah, and that's what it is this weekend. Ryan, no.
Listen. As much, and I get in trouble all the time. I respect the heck out of Tiger Stadium. It's a tough place to play. I always get in trouble. I'm jealous of the atmosphere at Tiger Stadium.
Look, the atmosphere at Tiger Stadium is awesome. I think it is. Hold on, I'll hop out real quick. I think I'm sitting carpool. I think it is, biased when it's at its peak. If it's not the best, it's right there among the best, right? Alabama going to Tennessee, they've kind of experienced, an equivalent type of situation. And so if nothing else, they should be a bit more prepared to maybe handle it a bit better than they did the first time around. But make no mistake, like, the Death Valley element is the element where LSU, I feel like, has a shot here. I mean, not a shot, right? But, like, that is LSU's, because it's a pretty even game on paper with Alabama maybe a slight lead, just pure football-wise. But in college football, you cannot escape the power of the home stadium. So I think that's what maybe puts LSU over the top Saturday.
T-Bob Hebert, I appreciate you, man. Have a great rest of your day, and train those kids up well, man. Get them a crimson jersey. I think they'll like it. T-Bob,
never.
Hey, listen, we appreciate it, man, and I hope we can serve some crow to you next week. Hopefully, you'll come back on.
Yeah, we'll come back on. Hopefully, you'll have me back on.
No, dude, you're welcome anytime. You don't ever answer my texts during Whiskey and Wine. When you and Matt Moscona are having those cry fests and I'm sending you all kind of stuff, I never even get a response. I don't even get a thank you.
Just wait for the
I'm
Selly
driving
this
your
Saturday night.
Up.
Just wait for the Selly this Saturday night. It's going to be epic.
I am driving your algorithm up, and a lot of Alabama fans. Listen, you guys do an incredible job. I mean, it's the best post-game show in the country. Whiskey and Wine. It really is.
Ron, thank you very much. For real. You're the man.
T-Bob,
I love you.
T-Bob, have a great weekend, man. See you soon.
Guys.
Thanks. All right. T-Bob Hebert, ESPN 104.5. We're going to break here. We're going to come back. We will go to Howard University. We're also going to take phone calls. We will President stand up at a podium at Howard University. We will carry that live here as a concession speak is in her plans, and we'll see exactly what she does to unify this country, and maybe they take one out of the playbook and understand that division is not the way to go, even though that was the method that they took for the last couple of years. So we're going to dive into it as we talk about Alabama Crimson Tide football. Many of her biggest supporters are in this front row. I see Nancy Pelosi and many others, but we're going to go to it live. You'll hear it right here coming up in just a couple of minutes. And she is almost at that podium. Jackson, be ready. Actually, I think we've got about a 1 minute warning right here. So we will. I was going to take a phone call, but let me just tell you, we are always powered by Tuscaloosa Toyota, TuscaloosaToyota.com. 3325 Skyland Boulevard and online at TuscaloosaToyota.com. But VP Harris will speak coming up in just a couple of minutes, and she will see if what they have promised a peaceful transition, and I'm sure that she's probably going to echo that like she did via her statement, and we'll see. It's one of those that I know that many of her supporters, here in Tuscaloosa, want to hear from her, and we'll do that coming up here in just a couple of minutes. And we are affiliated with multiple different news outlets. They are straightening a couple of American flags. Don't want to give you too much play-by-play here, but they're making sure that our beautiful colors are shown at I think they were a little bit creased up there, so they were making sure that is ready to go. And she will step at that podium and probably give one of the hardest speeches that she's probably ever had to give. But we will go that live, and we will carry, I don't know if the entirety, but we will carry the major part of this, and we'll see exactly. This is, we didn't know that this was going to happen right during the show, and my boss and I discussed it, and he thought, because we've done this with multiple different things, with being a station that is dedicated to covering news, and Alabama Crimson Tide football certainly is our primary objective, but when something like this is important to our country, we carry these things as well, and we know that many of you want to hear it, so we'll carry that coming up here in just a couple of minutes. And she is speaking at Howard University, and that is up in Washington. And we are getting, I think, a warning that it was a 2-minute warning. I said it was a 1 minute warning, but she is no. I thought that was her coming to the podium, but that is not going to be her. And like I said, so Jackson, we're just a couple of seconds away. And we will go live to this speech. And then Blueberry Steve is going to be the first caller from Montreal, Canada. We'll go to David in Tuscaloosa. Remember now, we're doing a big Southern Owl House score prediction contest, and your chance to get in. We are not going to be maybe as guest heavy as we originally thought. We're going to move back a couple of guests to tomorrow because we want to get as many calls in as we possibly can at 205-342-9904. And I was about to say we have one line available, but I don't think we have any lines available. We are completely full. We're going to go to those calls. Tell you what, why don't I take Blueberry Steve Jackson, but understand, Blueberry Steve, that we may have to put you on pause. So if I delay this and say I'll put you back on hold and we'll come back to you, so be ready for that. I almost feel like that that might jinx me a little bit, but let's take Blueberry Steve before we take the vice president. Her remarks coming up here in just a couple of minutes, right here on the game on Tide 100.9. Blueberry Steve, Montreal, Canada. Blueberry Steve, good afternoon. You're in the game. I hope all is well.
All is fantastic, Ryan. If I do get bumped by...
well, no, you're not going to get bumped. We're just going to put you back on hold and we can come back to you. I promise.
Oh, perfect. Let me start by saying congratulations to all my American friends. Congratulations and thank you.
Well, happy belated birthday, my friend. Happy belated birthday.
Well, yesterday was my birthday, and what a birthday present I got from my American friends. Oh, my goodness. And thank you for, on behalf of all my friends in America and for everybody in the world, across the world, all the freedom-loving people. This is an awesome, awesome outcome. I just hope and pray that the GOP will hold the House. The gains in the Senate are phenomenal, and it is a landslide. Now, I've been texting back and forth last night with my good friend Paul in Lincoln, and, you know, I wanted to also, just before I say anything, I just want to say how appreciative I am of people like Paul and Bam and Nick also, who gave their time. I know Paul was like really involved, and I mean, people who stood up. And anyways, Paul's message to me was, now, Blueberry Steve, that punk Trudeau is next. and Paul gave me, instead of MAGA, he said we should use MECGA. Now, it doesn't roll off the tongue as easy, but make Canada great again. And, well, that's what we need up here. And with President Trump in the House, I'm pretty sure that that's what's going to happen. And,
well, I mean, Blueberry Steve, you know, you guys, and listen, I appreciate the love that you've given our show, to our country. But I also think about you as a Jewish man, someone who protects Israel, that has their best interests at mind. I think when you look at the Jewish vote, it was convincing that even in some areas where generally is a left, very fertile to the left, was not. And I mean, can you speak to that for a couple of seconds as a Jewish person, of what this makes you feel that, you know, your biggest neighbor, the United States of America, has your family's back?
So, I mean, you remember when I visited Israel in May this past summer, I called you guys from even though it's a crazy time difference, I managed to figure it out. And I just want to tell you, unfortunately, sadly, a lot of my Jewish brothers and sisters support the wrong side. But this particular go around, President Trump managed to move things in the right direction. And also, my family and my friends, some of who are serving in the military right now on the border of Lebanon and in the Gaza Strip, young men away from their families for a little over a year. They are so excited by the win. They are so excited by the win of President Trump because we all know, we all understand the root, the head of the snake is Iran. And President Trump has indicated that he will remove the shackles from the IDF and, encourage the IDF to do what it needs to do to end the war quickly. And I mean, nobody wants a nuclear-capable Iran. I mean,
yeah.
Ryan, just think for a minute.
Well, and hey, be careful, because we got about 30 seconds right here that that Vice President Harris is going to stand at that podium and going to deliver her remarks at Howard University, a historical black university there in Washington. And she is scheduled to talk here in just a couple of minutes. We're going to carry that live, and we're going to see exactly what she does to unify. I think her speech is very important. They're one of the reasons why we are carrying this. We're a sports show, but most importantly, that our country. And I think one of the other things that go ahead and finish your thought, and I'm going to let you go, because I think you've almost finished your call.
Yeah.
At least I think you have.
I'm not finished my call. I have more to say also about the LSU game, but so you put me on hold, that'll be great. But I do want to say November the 4th, 2 days ago, was the 45th anniversary of Iran taking over the U.S. Embassy. And everybody has to remember what evil stands for, what evil is, what evil wants to accomplish. And, I mean, look at what President Trump did, the Abraham Accords. You know, it's awesome. It's awesome. And I'm very pleased. And I also wanted to thank you, Ryan, for giving your Bama family, because that's what we are, this opportunity to express our thoughts.
I thank you for saying that. I realized that my country is worth fighting for, and if something happens, listen, I don't want to lose my job like any other American doesn't want to lose their job. But I feel like that important stance, and I've tried to be respectful in many different areas, but I've also tried to allow people to not be disrespectful by allowing them to speak their mind.
Right.
Hey, Blueberry Steve, give me a score, man, in case we get disconnected right here.
Okay, 24-10 for Alabama.
Okay, and then Jalen Milroe total passing yards?
198. And just a quick question about that. You saw the game, the Gamecocks beat the Aggies, right? Their quarterback, he was looking like Jalen was looking at the beginning. Like he's like a big, tall guy, strong, and when he took off and run, they couldn't put him on the ground. Now, what is missing from to get Jalen to do that? Is it coaching? Is it he's got an injury? What?
No, I think it's really about confidence. If he keeps the confidence, I think he plays at a high level. I think it's very important for Alabama to get in that rhythm and to try to be able to create that rhythm to, for his success. I think it's one of the things that they try to script. It did not go well. I think it was the third drive at Tennessee's when he threw an interception. And I think that kind of got Alabama's offense. He's one of those young men who plays the position from a confidence standpoint. I think all quarterbacks, if they get in that rhythm, if he gets in that rhythm, he's one of the best players in the country. If he doesn't get in that rhythm, he doesn't look like that player that we know that he's capable of. I've said it throughout the week. Alabama needs to go to LSU. And if you tell me that he has a C-plus game or below, then I'm going to tell you that Alabama's probably going to struggle. We need, a B out of him. We need him to go down and play, some of his best football. I think when you go on the road, especially understanding that the defense, there's some money to be made. That secondary is not maybe a strength that we expect. So that is one of the things that I'm sure that we'll dive into coming up here in just a couple of minutes. So we're going to do that. And I think Alabama's got a lot of advantages to this game. I really do. I feel like that this is, pretty promising when you look at Alabama. I feel good about it. And I look at Vegas, and Vegas feels good about it too.
Okay.
So, Hey, Blueberry Steve, thank you so much, and happy belated birthday to you.
Thank you. Roll Tide and roll MAGA and make Canada great again. Thanks, Paul, for that.
Thank you. I appreciate we have several callers that listen to us and participants out in the Canadian in Canada. We're waiting here for the speech. Jackson, do you want me to send it to break right here and come back, or would you rather me keep it right here? I don't want to take a risk of losing this, but we are 20 minutes after the hour when she was supposed to be able to speak. I don't want to put you in a bad position. What would you prefer?
We can go to break right here, and then depending on if she's
let's do that because she was scheduled to come out at 4:00. She's now 21 minutes late.
Right.
Let's break, but understanding if she steps at that podium, we will come back immediately here and go live to Howard University, a historical black university.
I'm James Spann on the ABC 3320 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 77 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Never miss a moment of the action. Download the free Tide 100.9 app today.
All right, we welcome you right back into the game. We're going to Howard University, where the vice president currently is addressing the nation.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So let me say, and I love you back. And I love you back. So let me say, my heart is full today. My heart is full today. Full of gratitude for the trust you have placed in me, full of love for our country, and full of resolve. The outcome of this election is not what we wanted, not what we fought for, not what we voted for, but hear me when I say, the light of America's promise will always burn bright. As long as we never give up, and as long as we keep fighting. To my beloved Doug and our family, I love you so very much. To President Biden and Dr. Biden, thank you for your faith and support. To Governor Walz and the Walz family, I know your service to our nation will continue. And to my extraordinary team, to the volunteers who gave so much of themselves, to the poll workers and the local election officials, I thank you all. Look, I am so proud of the race we ran, and the way we ran it, over the 107 days of this campaign, we have been intentional about building community and building coalitions, bringing people together from every walk of life and background, united by love of country, with enthusiasm and joy in our fight for America's future. And we did it with the knowledge that we all have so much more in common than what separates us. Now, I know folks are feeling and experiencing a range of emotions right now. I get it. But we must accept the results of this election. Earlier today, I spoke with President-elect Trump and congratulated him on his victory. I also told him that we will help him and his team with their transition, and that we will engage in a peaceful transfer of power. A fundamental principle of American democracy is that when we lose an election, we accept the results. That principle, as much as any other, distinguishes democracy from monarchy or tyranny. And anyone who seeks the public trust must honor it. At the same time, In our nation, we owe loyalty not to a president or a party, but to the Constitution of the United States. And loyalty to our conscience and to our God. My allegiance to all three is why I am here to say, while I concede this election, I do not concede the fight that fueled this campaign. The fight for freedom, for opportunity, for fairness, and the dignity of all people. A fight for the ideals at the heart of our nation. The ideals that reflect America at our best. That is a fight I will never give up. I will never give up the fight for a future where Americans can pursue their dreams, ambitions, and aspirations. Where the women of America have the freedom to make decisions about their own body and not have their government telling them what to do. We will never give up the fight to protect our schools and our streets from gun violence. And America, we will never give up the fight for our democracy, for the rule of law, for equal justice, and for the sacred idea that every one of us, no matter who we are or where we start out, has certain fundamental rights and freedoms that must be respected and upheld.
We're Tire Rack. We test
and in the public square. And we will also wage it in quieter ways, in how we live our lives, by treating one another with kindness and respect, by looking in the face of a stranger and seeing a neighbor, by always using our strength to lift people up, to fight for the dignity that all people deserve. The fight for our freedom will take hard work, but like I always say, we like hard work. Hard work is good work. Hard work can be joyful work. And the fight for our country is always worth it. It is always worth it. To the young people who are watching, it is, I love you. To the young people who are watching, it is okay to feel sad and disappointed, but please know it's going to be okay. On the campaign, I would often say, when we fight, we win. But here's the thing. Sometimes the fight takes a while. That doesn't mean we won't win. That doesn't mean we won't win. The important thing is don't ever give up. Don't ever give up. Don't ever stop trying to make the world a better place. You have power. You have power. And don't you ever listen when anyone tells you something is impossible because it has never been done before. You have the capacity to do extraordinary good in the world. And so to everyone who is watching, do not despair. This is not a time to throw up our hands. This is a time to roll up our sleeves. This is a time to organize, to mobilize, and to stay engaged for the sake of freedom and justice and the future that we all know we can build together. Look, many of you know I started out as a prosecutor, and throughout my career, I saw people at some of the worst times in their lives. People who had suffered great harm and great pain, and yet found within themselves the strength and the courage and the resolve to take the stand, to take a stand, to fight for justice, to fight for themselves, to fight for others. So let their courage be our inspiration. Let their determination be our charge. And I'll close with this. There's an adage an historian once called a law of history, true of every society across the ages. The adage is, only when it is dark enough can you see the stars. I know many people feel like we are entering a dark time, but for the benefit of us all, I hope that is not the case. But here's the thing, America, if it is, let us fill the sky with the light of a brilliant, brilliant billion of stars. The light of optimism, of faith, of truth, and service. And may that work guide us, even in the face of setbacks, toward the extraordinary promise of the United States of America. I thank you all. May God bless you, and may God bless the United States of America. I thank you all.
All right, that is Vice President Kamala Harris as she concedes the race after Donald Trump has been elected the 47th president. She was speaking from Howard University, which is a private historical black university there in Washington, D.C. In Washington, D.C. So it is a HBCU speaking there to a large crowd. It was pretty much an overflow crowd as she came out and had moments where it felt a unifying speech. At other times, some of the same rhetoric that we have heard for the last 3 or 4 months was in her speech. But understanding that she is talking to her base, and we thought that was important as the division in our country. Hopefully this repairs. All right, so we're going to back. Football is always one of those, the ultimate distractor. We'll get back to that. So we want to hear from you. It's the Southern House score prediction day. Alabama, LSU. Alabama is the big favorite here as far as 3 points. I want to hear from you today, and let's go to David in Tuscaloosa. David, good afternoon. You're in the game. I hope all is well.
Hey, Ryan. How's everything going, my friend?
I'm good, David. I hope you're doing well.
Doing great there. Man, it's hard to believe it. A Wednesday now, ain't it?
It is. Is today Wednesday? Yes, it is. Let me check my calendar. Yes.
Confused on the day. I think I'll just go ahead and give them a score and let some get in here and just tell what's going on. But it was a good basketball game the other night.
It was great. It was great. It was simply amazing, and a lot of excitement around this Alabama basketball team. Aaron Torres spoke to us earlier today and kind of echoed that what he had told me via text message. He thinks this is the best team in the country.
Yeah, I was listening to him, and I think he's right there. If they don't get too overconfident and just play it one game at a time, I think they'll be doing great this year. Really doing great. And they're getting some good signees in as well.
You know, and you almost pinch yourself when you think about what Nate Oates has been able to do at the University of Alabama. He's been able to build it with a lunch boot. You know, it's a Midwestern style that he has brought in from a work ethic. You know, people in that region. Now, listen, people in West Alabama work extremely hard. I'm not trying to take that away.
Oh, yeah.
But he came in with that Wisconsin attitude. And, you know, if you know Nate the way that we know Nate, and I don't go around, you know, bragging on this, but Nate and I talk off the air, and I've done, speaking. Well, I mean, I'm not talking about he gives me all the information, but he's just a guy that's got a lunch pail work boot mentality. I mean, that's what has built this program. I mean, he's come in.
Yeah.
He's embraced Alabama Crimson Tide football. He's become a gigantic football fan. And when you look at him, I think really a lot of coaches from a basketball standpoint, I think it's one of the things that gets them in trouble is when they try to compete with football. He's not done that. He's embraced it. You see him. I mean, go back and find the video clip on the social networks of him going crazy when Ryan Williams caught that 75-yard touchdown pass from Jalen Milroe.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going crazy. Yeah.
I forgot all about that.
Yeah, I mean, so what he's done is he's embraced it. I mean, he is one of us. So I think when you look at Nate Oates, I don't think any of us, and I know a lot of people that know him better than I know him, and he's one of those guys that wears his energy. He wears his emotions on his sleeve. He's high energy. He's authentic. He's a guy that has built this program or reestablished this program. This program's got a long tradition, as you know, Quick Dave, but he's come in. He pretty much said, you know what, we're going to go to the living rooms. We're going to recruit the best players. He was setting records, and it almost reminds you of a lot of Coach Saban from a recruiting standpoint. He built this program, and Alabama just cut down the nets for the first Final Four, and we're looking for bigger things this year.
Oh, yes, most definitely. And, you know, I like the way, you know, he has, you know, I don't know what you'd call that, numbers, statistics, but he believes in the odds. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's the analytics. He explained that to a lot of us that maybe are not familiar with his system, but it's all about probabilities. And it's about probabilities at certain areas of the court that he thinks are higher percentage than his mathematical formula. And matter of fact, his analytic guy, Michael Schweimer, is going to be on coming up a little bit later this week. We're going to feature him, and we're going to discuss a lot of things from this Alabama basketball standpoint. So I'm excited to feature Michael, and Michael's a former Major League Baseball player. He's a guy that, you know, is pretty incredible. And, you know, it's fun to hear him talk about the analytics side. And I mean, like I said, he's going to join us later this week, and we'll break down some great basketball with him.
Well, that sounds like a winner. I can't wait to listen to him. And, but I'll give you my score, and we'll get somebody else on. And, you know, you have a great day. But let me just say, Alabama, 24, LSU 17, and let's go with Milroe, 229 yards.
Okay, Quick Dave, 24-17, 229. Thank you, Quick Dave.
All right, roll tide.
Hey, roll tide to you. Let's go to Robert in Mobile. Robert, good afternoon. You're in the game.
Well, I'm proud to be an American.
And at least I know I'm free.
And I won't forget the man who died and gave his right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
Robert. You got a good voice, man. You got a good voice.
That song was just stuck in my head all day. I just couldn't get it out for some reason. I was enjoying watching the analysts on MSNBC and the Communist News Network. I like particularly Joyless Reed, who bemoans the fact that Kamala Harris, the black man, and did only supported Donald Trump by 24%.
Well, I had one thing to say about that. Yeah, I'm a proud American black man, and I accept full responsibility for the results of the presidential election yesterday. So she got me. I'm 1-1.
Robert, did you see it coming with this type of momentum in the minority community?
Yeah. It became increasingly easy to find black people saying they were going to vote for Trump. And to CNN and MSNBC's credit, they were trying to prepare their lunatic friends who like to watch their show for this fact. I mean, I would see reports on their networks, too, about the number of blacks and Hispanics supporting Donald Trump. And they kept telling their folks. So maybe they won't act so crazy when Trump is inaugurated, because they tried to tell you this was a possibility and it was coming. So, yeah, it was out there. And some of the other networks, like the MSNBC and CNN, were putting it out there. So no surprise.
Well, I mean, when you do look at it and you think about, the Republican Party inviting everybody to have a seat at the table, and I think that's always been the case, but Democrats have abused minorities long enough. They've taken full advantage of them. They've used them almost to the part of destruction of the black community, and it's something that I said to a friend of mine this morning, that it's something that can change the landscape of politics, because seeing minorities jump on this red wave, and without minorities, you're not talking about Donald Trump winning today.
No, absolutely right. And
I mean, Donald Trump is.
You can only say he's Hitler so many times before it starts to just become noise now. You weren't, or he's a racist so many times before it just becomes noise. You badgered people with this. It was noise. It's like talking to a kid over and over again about the same thing. Eventually, you're lecturing and it's just noise. And not to mention when it never comes true. It's like, can it come true sometime? Why you keep telling us the same thing over and over again? No, it was just noise. And they act like we didn't see what the man did when he was president. We didn't really understand how life was when he was president. We saw him president for 4 years, and the sky didn't fall. So it kind of rings hollow. You tell me the sky's going to fall. Well, he's really going to be Hitler now. That was your message. Oh, he wasn't Hitler before, but he's really going to be Hitler now. Why don't you tell me what you're going to do? Why don't you tell me how you're going to make things better? Why don't you focus on that? Why don't you tell me how you're going to secure the border? Why don't you tell me how you're going to lower inflation? How you're going to get my gas prices down? Why don't you do that instead of the other guy's Hitler? That doesn't ring. That gets hollow after so many thousand times you say it.
Well, last night when I saw Miami-Dade County was one of the first counties. By the way, Ron DeSantis does an amazing job of counting votes. I wish that the precision of his vote counting would work its way throughout the country, because I don't think this is as complex of a system as we pretend that it is. But when I saw Miami-Dade go from blue to red and the Cuban American population there, because remember now, and not that I'm not saying that Kamala Harris was a communist. Okay. I'm not saying that. I think more socialism would be the term that I would probably use. There is some tendencies that may be even extreme beyond that because of her background, being from San Francisco and raised as much different values than I have. But when you look at the Cuban Americans that voted to say, no, we've experienced many left ideologies and we don't want it. We don't want this for the country that we're a part of. To me, that was a statement early on that you're going, if that trend continues, then he's going to be the 47th president of the United States of America. And that was the eye-opening county for me. And I think it was for a lot of people. And to see the exit polls and see some of the things that you thought would go sweep across the country, and it did. Wow, what a day!
America first is where the people are. We want you to to fix the hell our country first. No more money, billions of dollars going to overseas to fight the next war that's coming along. You're cozying up with the Cheneys and the Bushes, who are the biggest warmongers in the history of the planet. And now they're your buddies. But Donald Trump's the enemy? Come on. Yeah, no, it was America First message, securing the border, and family values are still carries weight in this country. Real quick before I go, I got distracted, so I didn't see the poll. So I called Martin this morning. He let me know where everybody was. The SEC, I see a little disrespect for the SEC in this early poll. Maybe, with the rankings of Georgia in particular, but I guess it'll all work itself out in the end. We'll eventually get more chaos, but right now the most important thing is Alabama currently controls its own destiny, and it's up to the team to let it stay that way.
And you would almost think that would be a motivating factor, right? To be able to push Alabama into that advantage standpoint, to be able to say, hey, look, here we are. Here we are. Let's push Alabama. I mean, this would be it's a boost of confidence when you look at this Alabama football team to go, okay, we understand now that if we continue to win in the college football playoffs, and for Kalen DeBoer to be able to do that in year number one, you step back and you think about win totals, and you think about he could set a mark that's never been set. And I know that we play more games now. I understand that. I'm taking that into consideration. But regardless, it is simply amazing for him when, a few weeks ago, if we would have mentioned that, you would have laughed. Is there still work to be done? Absolutely. There's still more work there. But, man, what a day. What a day.
All right, buddy. Catch you later.
Hey, Robert.
Yeah.
How'd you like that stock market today?
The Trump bandwagon, the Trump train has already left the station. Yeah. It's starting to feel like old times now, isn't it?
Hey, Robert and I talk often off the air, and many times we talk about the financial stock market. I've learned a lot from you, man. I appreciate you. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you, Robert.
Yeah, you do.
Thank you. Robert in Mobile, and the stock market, if you're just now getting back in your vehicle or maybe you got off work, the restrictions have been lifted. Now, that doesn't mean that hard times is not going to come because, we're in a pretty good rut right here. But stock market responded with 1,500 points. The NASDAQ 544 and S&P at 146 points. Seemed like every sector of the market was up. There was a couple of stocks that were down a little bit, but I mean, we're talking. Hey, we are always powered by Tuscaloosa Toyota, TuscaloosaToyota.com, 3325 Skyland Boulevard, and online at TuscaloosaToyota.com. We're taking your phone calls. If you want to jump in, we'd love to have you. We have two lines available, 205-342-9904. Let me tell you what you're going to win. For one, you're going to get qualified for the grand prize package. And I was looking, Jackson, we did not have a winner last week for our Alabama against Open University score prediction contest. I mean, I did the closest score predictions. I went through all the numbers, and we don't have a winner for that.
Not even a tie between anybody?
Nobody. I mean, I mean, we really lack confidence in Alabama getting picked to beat Open the way that they did. And so I don't think it's fair to award a winner.
Well, Tony's picks ended up doing real well for us, no?
Well, the parlay picks, that's different than the score prediction.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, we'll do our parlay pick announcement, and we may have to run that a couple different days there. We may have to run it Thursday and Friday. I'll tell you more about that a little bit later, but we do have a few more guests as we travel throughout. Looking at the 89th meeting between the LSU Bengal Tigers and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Alabama's only lost 6 times in 60 years. Hopefully this is not number 7, but if you look at the history of this series, Alabama's only lost 10 times in Baton Rouge, 10 times. LSU has beaten Alabama only 17 times in Tuscaloosa, but they have won more in Tuscaloosa than they have in Baton Rouge when playing the Crimson Tide. You're seeing this at about a 3-point advantage by the Alabama Crimson Tide, and we're going to take scores. It is a Southern Ale House score prediction day. You've got Dockside that's open for dinner. They just opened a couple of minutes ago. You've got dinner locations there. You've got the original location, which is open Monday through Saturday, lunch and dinner options. Tomorrow, you'll be able to get lunch and dinner at Southern Ale House Dockside, also on Friday and Saturday. And you got brunch until Sunday until 4 o'clock at the newest location there on Marina Drive. If you're going up Highway 43, you come to the Winn-Dixie Shopping Center. About 3 miles beyond that, you will track and you'll find a Dollar General on the left. Marina Drive is right there. Marina Drive, a beautiful location. It's a great place. It's relaxing. It's special. When you look at that beautiful water, you have a chance to go over and, whether you want to come by car or vehicle, or if you want to come by boat, you've got that option as well. They have 8 boat slips that you can go into, and that will be a lot of things that, right there, Southern Ale House, Dockside. 1530 McFarland Boulevard is the original location. So we're going to throw in a Daniel Moore calendar and a mini print, We'll put that courtesy of DanielMooreArt.com, DanielMooreArt.com. Remember, when you check out, tell them that you heard about it right here, but also that special discount code. It is The Game. Remove the space, The Game, significant discount, DanielMooreArt.com, DanielMooreArt.com. We're going to put a print in there, a calendar. We'll also put a dozen red roses, courtesy of Pat's Florist, 1010 Queen City Avenue in downtown Tuscaloosa. Go over and see John and all the great staff there at Pat's Florist, 1010 Queen City Avenue. We'll also put Mark's Mark in there. We appreciate those guys for being a long-standing sponsor here in Tuscaloosa. Thank you, Mark's Mark, downtown Northport. And, as we approach Thanksgiving holidays, a lot of the Priester pecan dishes that you can find down in the lower part of the state, the only place that I know that you can get it in Tuscaloosa area is Mark's Mark. You can find the pecan pies. You can find the different pecan recipes that they're featuring, whether it's the fruit cake and, coming up a little bit later this month, they'll have those great turkeys that are just simply amazing. They're also doing some great things in the hot box as well. So they've got a big barbecue pit, and it's one of those old-fashioned barbecue pits. And, man, Jacob has turned into a master chef, a barbecue pit master, I guess would be the better word to say that. So whether you're looking for a chicken swirl or a salmon swirl or any of the seafood entrees, you can find that. If you want to dominate the grill with a great steak, you find the High Choice 2 Prime. So 10%, the top 10% of choice all the way until prime. If you're looking for a tomahawk steak, you can find that. If you're looking for gumbo, they've got that. The great casseroles, the cheesesteaks, that famous cheesecake that's served in this area, you can purchase it there at Mark's Mark. So we'll throw in one of those gift cards, and we're having some fun. We want to take your scores, your predictions, your analysis. It is Southern Ale House Score Prediction Day, but most importantly, you would get qualified for the grand prize package. Let's go to Pat in Tuscaloosa. Pat, good afternoon. You're in the game.
Hello.
Hey, Pat, how are you?
I'm doing fine. The humidity down here is unreal. I'm down in Foley, Alabama, with Gulf Shores. But on the next door it's Gulf Shores, and I'm actually on the Bonsecourt River. It's hot, muggy hot. Been raining off and on all day.
What are you doing?
Foot down, preparing. Concerned about that they've got it wrong on that storm. We don't know whether they're naming things after women, and you never know what a hurricane's going to do. And the fact that they're naming some of them after men now I think it's an atrocity. What do you think?
I've never spent 1 ounce of critical thinking in that department.
Been worried about that?
Yeah. It seems like you got it figured out.
You had money interest down here, you would. Hey, if you was down here but messed up your vacation time when you was down here, you would. But no, I want to say thank you very much for putting that woman on there, because she did the absolute thing that caused her to lose that election abortion, and she's going to have to stand before her maker and all there at the pearly gates, and that we may look her up on that list. Said you're not on the list, darling. You're on the other list, and people are going to realize that this country was based on "In God We Trust," and we've turned away from it. And I'm not that, but just our country was when our country believed in God. In God We Trust. We were doing a whole lot better, and when we were pro-Israel, we were doing a whole lot better. That because those who my issue is, my grandpa and people, they wasn't that much on. They didn't care for Jewish people that much, but I'm very pro-Israel, and because I look at it that in God, if we're against Israel, we're against God. And I may be wrong on that, but that's kind of like what my Bible tells me.
Well, I don't think the Bible gives you an optional that you can or cannot support Israel. Now, people don't believe, they don't obey every rule that's in the Bible. But if you read it and obedient to the Bible, it requires us to support Israel. The way that I interpret that Bible, and I think most biblical scholars would agree with what you and I are saying. So it's not like it's optional.
You're right there with me. And but anyway, like I said, I want to thank you for putting that side of it on. I feel bad for those poor people that waited in line in the cold up there for days to get in there to hear her talk for 2 minutes. I feel sad for them. But then again, hey, you got other folks that are seeing that of what she is, and that without a teleprompter, she's in trouble.
Well, listen,
but anyway, I'm not going to go there anymore.
I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying. I'm just saying now's the time to move on. She's been defeated. You shake her hand, you say good game, and we don't wish her any ill harm, and hopefully it is truly a peaceful transition. And, and you hope that, listen, my mom was a lifelong Democrat. Okay. My dad was a union Democrat.
My grandparents were too.
Okay. Now my dad died in 2006, but until the day he died, him and I had an agreement that we did not talk politics because we were on the opposite sides of many different issues. Okay. My mom, who lived to a couple of years ago and passed away, but when you look at her values, they had switched. And she used to tell me this all the time. And I've shared this with the audience on multiple occasions. She would always say, she'd call me and she would rant and rave about something that the Democratic Party was doing that she was a part of for 60 plus years of her life. And I would say, Mom, that's your party. That's your party. You keep complaining about that. And she'd stop me and she'd get all irritated and she'd say, Ryan, don't you start that with me. Don't you start that with me. I'm like, Mom, that's your party. That's your party. And she'd always say, Ryan, that party left me. I didn't leave that party. And it always hit me because they did have a seat at the table for many hardworking Americans. But what happened is they went woke. They went woke. I mean, they moved so far left that they left a lot of those individuals. And those people did not feel like that they had a home. So where did they go?
They were disenfranchised.
They were. And so they went to really, if you look at Donald Trump, now he governed more conservative than I thought he would, but Donald Trump would be considered a moderate in many areas of his policy. He's
same thing. Bill Clinton was more of a moderate than he was a liberal. Somewhat.
In some areas, probably, but I think when you look, going so far left was not beneficial, and the country rejected that. I mean, who thought? I mean, be honest, Pat. Who thought that we were going to win a popular vote? A popular vote, not an electoral college. A popular vote. Very few.
Well, I mean, it was the people that got out and got people to vote. There were so many people was so many gun owners. Somebody said it was 29,000 or just 295. I don't know, just bunches of gun owners that didn't vote the last time for Trump, and that and they don't understand there's how many people that are in rural Georgia or in rural Michigan or in in these rural areas. People got out and voted, and the thing about it was they were not voting Democrat, and they all they were interested in was what was happening in the big city. They overlooked the little man. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, but there were so many people that were hurting. You know, I do a little sample, okay? I'm a habit-forming individual, okay? I drive the same way to work. I eat at the same places. I shop at the same stores. I memorize prices like you do. I don't memorize ounces, and I don't ever look at stuff like that. But I frequent a restaurant every day. Okay, I go to a place and get a half and half tea right before I come to work every day. I noticed that line was no longer long. It would wrap around the building. I noticed when I would get off on the interstate that there would be people that would be fighting for spots at red lights for work for food signs. And it broke my heart. I would see people with those signs, and I'm sitting there going, well, heck, man, I can afford a chicken sandwich, but these folks are not able to. And it hurts. And I saw many times at grocery stores where there would be a parent and they would be there with their kids and they would get to the front of the grocery store and they would check out and they were having to put items back. You know, where you put items back, you know, right there at the
when you see them have to put stuff back because they don't have enough money to pay for it.
Yeah, just to pay for the bills. I watch people at gas station put $3 and $4 and $5 worth of gasoline when gas is $3.20 a gallon. Listen, I'm a soft-hearted guy. When I saw that, it broke my heart, and it said, you know what? As a country, we can do better. We can do better. And we owe it to our people that America is put first. That, yes, we do have a care for the rest of the world, but the priority should be taking care of those who have made so many sacrifices to make our country great. And last night, that was a sounding voice. It's eye-opening. And I know the Democrats are looking at each other going, what in the world? How did we miss the mark? And hopefully it balances it back out. And I'm not pulling for them to win in 4 years, but at least they can come back to the middle and not go so. And that's the same thing for Republicans that go extreme right. They always say it takes a left wing and a right wing to fly. There's a balance and try and negotiate for the best of our country. But our country sent a message last night that we don't want men in girls' sports. We don't want men in little girls' locker rooms or in women's bathrooms. We don't want things that they were trying to force us.
We do not need tampons in little boys' locker rooms.
Well, no, bathrooms. I mean, I don't think that would be a good business model that I would want to invest in. But hey, but I mean, that type of stuff is what people rejected. And so, anyway, listen, Pat, give me a score. What do you think? Alabama to LSU.
Yeah, man, I like 38-21. Oh, Alabama wins, and hey, and y'all did passing yards. We should have done my freshman phenoms receiving yards, which I'm going out on a limb and saying he gets back on track at 125 this week, man. And, but I got. Now, did you say you wanted Milrose total passing yards?
We do, and I tell you what, if you'll be the first caller,
329.
Okay, repeat your score, please.
Okay, my score is 38-21, and I've got Milrose with 321 passing, and we're going to have about 170, 80 yards rushing. We're going to have close to 500 yards of total offense.
All right, 38-21, 3-29. Thank
29.
you.
And, I appreciate you. have a blessed afternoon, and we'll see you when we're back in Tuscaloosa. Bye-bye.
Hey, thank you. Thank you. Pat, down there visiting the wonderful Gulf Coast. Scores, your predictions, your analysis, LSU, Alabama. If you want to be able to jump in, we'd love to have you at 205-342-9904. 205-342-9904. We're doing a Southern Ale House score prediction day. It is Southern Ale House, 1530 McFarland Boulevard, also the dockside location that we talk about so frequently. Also want to remind you about the Wharf. If you're looking for some of that cold weather apparel, people in West Alabama work extremely hard. If you're into that hunting apparel as well, they check all those boxes, right? Work apparel, cold weather apparel. It's the work and Western wear for the entire family since 1976, a long-standing tradition here in West Alabama. It is a McFarland Boulevard. If you go by El Gran Patron, you will find right there on the right-hand side of the road. If you pass by the blue plate, you've went too far. Turn around. It's the Wharf on McFarland Boulevard. You got 60 different brands of boots. Justin, Tony Lima, Red Wing, Georgia, Double H, Timberline, Laredo, and many more. It is all the name brands. If you're into hunting apparel, if you're into waterproof boots, you'll find those. Hiking boot, casual boot, Western wear for the entire family. Wrangler, Levi, Lee, you'll find those. Carhartt clothing, Rocky clothing, Under Armour clothing. It is our good folks right there. Go see Mark and Lee. And when you walk in, chances are they're probably listening to us right there on the app. So we say thank you for not only being a faithful sponsor, but also a listener as well. But support those. Listen, if there's a time that we need or small businesses need us, it's people that sponsor our show, that give us the opportunity to talk with you. And those small businesses now, hopefully this rejuvenates and people are not afraid to spend money and we can begin to, reduce the inflation and you go out, buy a new pair of boots or a new pair of jeans or just go out and believe in the American values in these small business owners. We appreciate them. They're the ones who not only sponsor this show, but chances are you got a T-ball team or you got a little league team or you got a charity raffle. Those are the type of businesses that sponsor those type of atmospheres and those type of events. And we say thank you to the Wharf. Since 1976, the work in Western wear for the entire family. Let's take more phone calls, and we go here to Marty in Arkansas. Marty, good afternoon. You're in the game. Hey, Marty.
Ryan, can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, you can now? Yeah. Hey, Ryan, where were we at? I watched the election all last night. Where did we finish up in the poll?
We are number 11. I
told you we'd be number 11. I told you that 3 weeks we'll be at number 11, and all we got to do is win out, and we'll be in the play and work our way up, and hope for some breaks and win the SEC championship and be at number 4. That's all we got to do. But Ryan, I don't know. I mean, I talked to my store manager at the grocery store today. I said, how are we going to get milk back down to $2 a gallon? He says, Marty, I don't know. I said, well, we got the right guy in there. He goes, no, he goes, Marty, I can show you the prices of what we're paying our employees right now in insurance, and it's hard to do that. But one thing, Ryan, I've told a cereal aisle, one thing I notice all the time, prices, if they don't go up, the box shrinks. You look at the cereal boxes sometimes, when you go down there, look at some of them on the back end. They're taller or they're smaller than the ones on the front because they shrink. They sell the same price, but they shrink them, the ounces and stuff. That's one thing I've noticed. See, I worked in grocery business. That was my second job because I've only been farming for about 30 years, and then I worked at the grocery store too because I'd need money. But we handed out paychecks today, and a lot of our Mexican friends have gone home for the winter, and they come back in the fall, in the spring. So it was pretty good. We had a good year. We got our soybeans in, and we had a good year, and that's all that matters. But, Ryan, my score is going to be 31-14.
Okay. 31-14, I assume Alabama?
Yeah. Can't go. I can't go against Alabama no matter how bad. Like some other people jumping off the ships. Just at 10-2 our first year, that's what, it's a great year. Saban just set the bar so high. That's all. We can't, just like what you said, we can't expect to win it every year from now on. And you're not going to have 3 out of 4 like in that dynasty book. It just ain't going to happen anymore. I don't care. Unless you got a big old bankroll and you're going to pay every 85 of your employee, I call them employees, $1 million like they do in the NFL, and try to buy a team like the Rams did, and then now they don't have enough to win. But they got that one Super Bowl ring, and that's all that matters. But we got 18 of them, so, it's a different thing. But, Ryan, we got to go passing yards on Jalen Milroe, right?
We do.
Whew, God, they don't stop the run. They're a bad running team, and I think we can run it. So I'm going to say he'll hit Williams, and Williams will break a few long ones for about 70 and 70 be 140. I'll say 210 yards.
All right. 210 yards, 31-14, 210 yards. Man, I appreciate you, Marty. What else is on your mind, my friend?
Oh, not much. I mean, it's just, I just hope that some things go right. We tear the border up. The ones that need deported, we need, like some of my Mexican, they're afraid to come back. I know they got green cards, but they come back, they got to cross that border. Most of them live in Montgomery or Monterrey, Mexico, and they come out. Because if we didn't have them, we couldn't get all our crops in. I mean, the last 5 years, it's hard to get white guys to play. That's just like the other day, I was talking to coaches the other day, and this may be why Cheatham County doesn't have a real good football team, and Hillcrest does. Hillcrest, everyone that talks on this says they're the rich kids. They're the rich kids. They don't have to go out there and get a job in the 10th grade or 11th grade to help their parents or get their car.
Listen, but let me say this. I mean, Hillcrest is a great school.
I'm just saying that's.
The high school rivalries that we hear, I don't get into high school rivalries because I've got friends from both County High and Hillcrest. But Hillcrest, there's a lot of wealthy people that go to Hillcrest, but there's also a lot of middle class folks too. You
can't compare apples to oranges. That's something there, and I would just talk because there are two 5A schools here that are really big, but they never win. And a lot of them, when they get 16, they go work at this. Which I live in a small town. We got a McDonald's, we got a Wendy's. We don't have no big restaurants or anything like that. You got to go 20 miles to go eat at a really nice restaurant. But a lot of them work there, and they don't go out. They go out in 9th grade, and then they quit in the 10th grade so they can buy their car. And I don't know if that's true or not. I was just talking to some coaches about why don't they, how hard it is for the kids to stay, and then other like at Ballard. But that's apples to oranges. I mean, I'm not no coach. I'm not that. I just go out and watch a lot of high school football too, especially the ones that have some D1
but now,
players.
Are you talking about Hillcrest in Tuscaloosa, or are you talking about Hillcrest in Arkansas?
No, I'm talking about Hillcrest in Tuscaloosa. I don't know that much. I just what everybody says on here.
You got this big rivalry between County High and Hillcrest, and I went to church with a lot of Hillcrest people for 14, 15 years. I called County High football games. I love both programs. I know you're not, but I'm just telling you.
I don't even live in Alabama. I was just trying to make I don't know. I mean, I don't live there, and I was trying to make a point here about some things, and we were trying to discuss it because they're 7, and then I don't know why I brought it up with the coaches because we were talking about college, but what kind of brought it up was we were talking about college football with the NIL. And he said if you don't have a good NIL fund, you're not going to have a good sport of a total sports program, because you're going to have to give it to all, to the basketball, to the football, to the women's soccer. And he says if you don't have a good NIL, you're going to lose some of your players, some of your women's soccer. He just broke it down into things because he'd been the high school coach I talked to, been at small FBS schools, and he coached at a major school. But now he helps at the high school here, and he helps me out a lot. He goes with me to a lot of games, and he breaks them down for me. But I got you. I mean, that's irrelevant. That's irrelevant. I mean, I worry about just what's going to happen. That's what you need to do, Ryan. A year from now, all right, write down that price, what you got at Chick-fil-A. Go from a year from now, order the same thing, and see if they drop the price. Because I don't know how you can drop prices if you're paying employees $11 and $12 and $13 an hour. That's just me. I'm not economic guy.
No. I do think that is that's an issue. I do.
Hey, Ron, do me another favor. Do me another favor, because I do this a lot from my grocery store. Because I work at a small, like a piggery, but I go to Kroger and look at prices. I go to Walmart. I go to mom and pops Then when we get Memphis, we go to like Whole Foods and stuff. And you'd be surprised how much difference there is in prices. It's almost like gasoline. I just hope he brings it down $1 by the time the spring comes. Then the crop won't be so bad to get in. That's all I worry about.
Well, listen, Marty. I hope you have a great day, man.
I didn't mean to ramble about that.
Listen,
I'm sorry.
No. Marty, stop. You don't have to apologize, man. I welcome your opinion.
Okay. Hey, Ron.
You're a caller into this show. And I'm appreciative of that. I wanted to make sure that, yeah.
Hey, when I come down for the Mercer game, I'm gonna come say hi to you because Zach wants to see you. I'll just tell you when I'll call you before. I'll call Jackson before I get there on Friday. That way you can come down because with his crutches, I don't know if he'd be able to get up that steps. And then I got something for you and Jackson.
Well, listen, you don't have to. You listen.
Well, no, that's
Marty,
all right.
I'm very thankful for the gifts.
It's not nothing big. It's just something that it's something that. Hey, I got a lot of friends, so I get a lot of freebies from restaurants.
Okay. Well, thank you for thinking of me. Thank you, Marty. I hope you have a great day, man.
You've done a lot for me, Ryan. So take care and you have a good day.
All right. The feeling is mutual. Let's continue with more phone calls, and we go here to Ron. Ron, good afternoon. You're in the game. I hope all is well.
How you doing, Ryan?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear. You sound great.
Can
you hear me?
Yeah. I'm still around.
Good.
Still driving this truck.
All right. Where are you located at now? Where are you driving it to?
I'm going around Nashville.
Oh, okay.
All
right.
Going home.
Going home. Ron in Tennessee, helping us out. All right.
You know what Cookeville is?
I sure do.
Hey, well, I just wanted to call. I haven't called in a while. And
We've missed you.
I've been kind of discombobulated, I guess. I really don't know.
What do you mean?
It's been so crazy.
The season?
Yeah, it's been crazy, man.
Well,
up and down and kind of like, I just don't know, man. I came down for the South Florida game and sit and watch the whole game, and I just couldn't understand. I just couldn't understand what the hell was going on.
Well, there's been a lot of growing pains, a lot of transition pains.
Yeah.
But I think, hey, at the end of the day, if this team is able to make the playoffs, I think it'll be a big success.
I hear that. I hear people say that, and I understand. I understand that. That's the way people think, but I just don't see any much improvement from last year. To tell you the truth, I know we beat Georgia and we beat Georgia twice and all that's good, but I see going backwards. Really. I don't understand why they don't try to run the ball more than what they are. I see people, we can't run the ball. We don't even try to run the ball. We throw the ball 50 times against Tennessee. I don't understand that. What the thinking was behind that. I'm just confused, I guess, Brian.
Well, listen, I know that Alabama in areas, they've not played up to the standard that this coaching staff wants them to play at. I do understand that. But I also think they've also had to start a lot of new players. There's been some transitions. There's been some growing pains. I think this Alabama football team is positioned themselves. Now, listen, if they lose against LSU, then we're probably going to have a deeper discussion about a lot of different things. But I think when you look at this football team, they're in a position. No, I don't like losing to Vanderbilt. No, I don't like losing to Tennessee. And I know that, friends up there that live in, Tennessee that are Alabama fans have to hear it from the big orange nation up there. But I think when this Alabama football team, they're not where they need to be. And, I don't think they're content either. But I think, you got to give Kalen DeBoer time to get his personnel in here. There's 40 new players that are on this roster that were not a part of last year's roster. And, I've said it multiple times. I thought I had a little higher expectations of the season. I thought this team, especially after the Georgia win, I was like, man, this team has a chance to do something that, only Larry Coker at Miami in 2001 was able to do, is win a national title. I don't know if that's realistic now. And for my responsibility in that, I've kind of said, maybe I was one of those guys who drove the conversation in that direction. And, I missed that. But this team has been able to rebound, and they put themselves in a position where they can go and at least compete. You went out, you're in the college football playoffs, Ron. As bad as this team has played at times and as bad as they've looked at times, they've also looked great at times too.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but yeah, Ryan Williams looked great. If it wasn't for him, we'd have 3 or 4 losses, I think. If you think about it. I mean, it has. I understand the expectation, and probably I had a lot of expectations too because of the way Jalen played last year, and then coming into this year, I don't see any improvement. He looks confused a lot. Is what I'm trying to say. He just looks. I don't know. He looks like he's lost.
I think at times he's got a confidence issue. I do. I think if he gets into a funk, it's hard for him to shake it. I think he tries to play the position from a perfectionist, and it's hard to play quarterback being a perfectionist.
Yeah, you think maybe, I don't know. It seems like they're trying to get him to play more of a pro-style offense, and that's not what he played last year.
Well, I think what it was is
Kalen. Get ready for the NFL.
No. I think what it was is I think Kalen DeBoer was trying to understand that running quarterback is only going to take you so far. You're going to have to improve in that passing department. I think he put some pressure on Jalen to take a big step, and I think Jalen did take a big step. I've been impressed with his short intermediate throws as of late. Do I want more from him? Yeah. But in some areas, he doesn't look like the same quarterback. In some of the areas, he looks, like you said, a little shaky. But in other areas, I just think that it's a growing system. And I think the jury, listen, I do believe in Kalen DeBoer. I've talked to too many people in that building. I've talked to too many recruits. You know, Keelan Russell's one of the top quarterbacks in the country. You know where he's headed? He's headed to Alabama. You know today that, well, he told us this about 3 or 4 weeks ago on the air. He wouldn't take any more phone calls. Now it's breaking out there in the recruiting trails that he has shut down his recruiting. That's the top quarterback in the country. So as long as, I mean, right now Alabama's got a chance to finish number 1 in recruiting. And who knows what they'll get in the portal. Listen, Ron, keep an optimistic view. And I know I'm talking to a crowd that expects national titles every year. I just don't know if that's fair for Kalen DeBoer in year number 1.
Yeah, I don't know that I expect. I'm like this. I hope to win a national championship every year, but I don't expect one because I've been down there where, you know, you've been through it too. Well, we didn't win 2 damn games or 3.
Yeah.
And I've been through those years. I'm 62 years old. I've been through the Mike Shulers and the Mike Price that didn't even make the first spring game. And we look like country bumpkins sitting on a log. So, you know, I don't expect it every year. But if you don't look to,
let me say this.
National championship, what are you playing for?
Well, okay, but I know we're Alabama, and rightfully so. But I want to take you back to 1923. Wallace Wade, first-year head coach, who won 7 football games. 1931, Frank Thomas, 9-1. Red Drew, 1947, 8 wins. J.B. Whitworth, 0-10 his first year. 1958, you ever heard of the name Coach Paul Bear Bryant? He went 5-4-1. Ray Perkins, his first year in 1980. Yeah, 1983, 8-4. Bill Curry, 7-5. Gene Stallings, national champ, 7-5. Mike DeBose, 4-7. He won an SEC in '99. Dennis Franchione, 7-5 in 2001. Mike Shula was 4-9 his first year. Nick Saban, 6-time national champ at the University of Alabama, 7 if you count LSU. He was 7-6. Kalen DeBoer has a chance to surpass all of those first-year head coaches. Let that sink in, Ron. It takes a little bit of time. Yeah,
I'm not disappointed with the coach. I'm just this NIL crap, man. It's got me so. I'm just mad at all that crap going on. You know what I'm saying? When I watch other teams and we got players that used to be playing for us last year, and here they are somewhere else because somebody had a little bit more money. That just really gets a spur up my butt.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of people don't like it. But, hey, Ron, hopefully you've had a good day, man. I know that you're a truck driver, and you're probably going to appreciate lower gas prices, and hopefully we can get that because you guys are what drives – yeah, you guys are what drives this country, and we're appreciative. You know, we don't thank a lot of truck drivers. But we should because you guys work hard to deliver the products, and we're thankful for people like you that get behind that 18-wheeler and shift those gears, man. Hey, give me a score. What do you think?
I'm kind of dreading this weekend. I'm gonna say 19-10.
Okay, 19-10. Jalen Milroe.
We'll score much.
All right, Jalen Milroe, total passing numbers.
212.
I got you. Thank you so much. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Hey, man, I'll try.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that, man. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ron, up in Tennessee. Thank you, sir. All right.
Roll Tide, man.
Hey, Roll Tide to you. DanielMooreArt.com. DanielMooreArt.com. Roll Tide to you, Ron. DanielMooreArt.com. Celebrate that special Alabama fan in your life. It is DanielMooreArt.com. We're going to break. We're going to continue with more of the game.
Okay, class. Vos está pronto.
Estamos prontos.
However you learn, Babbel makes it easy. Try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Please say thank you. I know what he's going to say, but he's going to accept it, hopefully. Paul, welcome into the game in Tuscaloosa.
Ryan, we did it, buddy.
We did it, brother.
Well, let's get something out of the way first. Let's all hold hands and embrace the SUCK. That's SAUCK. And the AU stands for the Auburn Tigers. Okay?
It does. Yeah.
It does. It does. Ryan, I tell you, the emotions that kind of welled up in me last night is you saw the clock was ticking. And by the way, that was an awesome, great call from Tony. Those were very kind words, Tony. I appreciate it, man. Listen, we're all Patriots, you know, especially today. We're all Patriots, man. That was a very appreciate those kind words, but I was thinking, right on July 13th, I was, you know, while a lot of folks were doing whatever they do on July 13th, you know, taking kids here, you know, having a picnic, and that's just part of what we do. I was watching my president get shot in the head in Butler, Pennsylvania, and I thought they'd taken him out. We all did, as everything kind of unfolded right in front of our eyes that day in Butler, Pennsylvania. And Donald Trump, after being shot in the ear, blood pouring out of his head, he gets up off the ground and he looks at the crowd, he looks at the Patriots in that field and says, "Fight, fight, fight." And I'm telling you, that did something to me.
Yeah. I think it did something to a lot of people. I think that was evident last night.
Yeah.
I think that was the wake-up call that we needed to see. And I think from the prosecution to the assassination, I think a lot of people, that was a wake-up call. It was an alarm clock, and it worked. I'm not saying it was purposely done. I'm saying it woke us up.
Yeah. Well, I think it was purposely done.
Well, no, I'm saying
this. Yeah. I got you.
Yeah,
I know exactly. Yeah. Yep. I know exactly what you're talking about. But I had to do something, Ryan. Me and my wife Becky were talking, and I said, "Listen, I want to do something. I can talk a good game. You know, I can wear the Trump hats. I can wave the Trump flags in my yard. But I need to do something. I need to do my part. And so I did. And it was a very, very, very small part in the grand scheme of things. But I joined Turning Point Action USA, Charlie Kirk's group, and I joined Trump Force 47, and I just started making phone calls, and I started, you know, making calls to the swing states because, you know, listen, I'm not a wealthy man, and I give what I can give, and but I said, yeah, I got a phone and I got some time, and I can make calls, and that's what I did, and I just, that little bitty piece of that whole process, I can always say, and I'm certainly not patting myself on the back by no means, but I can always say I had a little small piece of what we saw last night, and it, you know, and it's just a great feeling when I finally went to bed last night.
What time did you go? What time did you? Yeah.
Yeah, it was between 3:30 and 4. It was just, I was so pumped. I mean, I was so jacked up. And then I heard when I heard my president speak at the convention center, and you know, all those people, you know, he just has a way of telling people. And listen, is Trump perfect? Absolutely not. He's a very imperfect vessel But I've always thought that Trump was providential. I always thought that somehow, some way, God was going to use him, especially after what happened in 2020 with the cheating and everything, all the lawfare, the indictments, the impeachments. I mean, this guy, how much can one man take? And I just said to myself, after seeing everything, after all that's happened the last 4 years, and to see what we saw last night, it was very, very emotional, very, very emotional for me. And I'm just, and I can't wait to see what's fixing to happen. And some of it's going to be ugly. Some of it, I mean, this deportation that has got to happen, it's gonna get ugly, and in time it's going to happen. But right now, I think the country, as a whole, had a big sigh of relief last night or early this morning, and I'm just proud to be a part of a show like yours, that you give people, it doesn't matter what stand they have, pretty much, left, right, whatever, you give them the platform to give those opinions and speak from their heart. And that's something I'll always be indebted to you, Ryan, is you give your audience, your callers, pretty much free reign to express their opinions. And that's what's part of living in this country. You should have the freedom to express your dreams, your ideas, your opinions. And at least for the next 4 years, I think we're going to be able to do that. And I just want to say thank you for giving us the platform.
And like you and I spoke off the air, and I told you, listen, I get a lot of nasty emails, and that's okay. I invite those emails because I'm in a public spotlight. I understand the frustration because it's rare for a sports talk radio host to take a conservative stand, okay? Whether I'm standing on my faith or whether I'm standing on my political values. That doesn't mean that I think that everybody on the other side is wrong. It's just where I stand, okay? I'm not asking anybody else to stand where I am. But I do take a lot of negative criticism. That's okay. That's okay. Like I said, I welcome that. But I realized that I had to talk about it more because it's that little bit of an impact, allowing people to feel like that they can come on and express their opinion. And I hope the other side will express theirs. And we've had other people that they don't want to call in, and I get it. There's several people that have sent me nice messages and said I'm on the other side. I don't want to voice, but that's okay. But anyway, it's beside the point. But it takes I think about Elon Musk. I think about we talked about Stan Pate, a local guy here in Tuscaloosa that I shared some photos with you, and it's a group effort. That's what's got the Democrats today trembling in the boots. Because the minorities have come to the right side at a pace that we've never seen before. And they now see that the fear, they're either going to have to come back to the middle or that party is going to say goodbye.
Exactly. This regime that was voted out last night, and there's a lot of moving parts to it. It is deep and vast and wide and corrupt and evil. Ryan, that regime took this country to the gates of hell. Literally to the gates of hell. But for a savior, and I'm not talking about Donald Trump, but for a savior that I think is going to give this country a little more time to work out its wrongs. Listen, we're in the shape we're in as a world, as a nation, and as a world because of a 3-letter word, and that's called sin. And sin can be so many things. But if you want to encapsulate it, the reason the world in this country is in the shape it's been, it'll never be perfect, never has been perfect, never will be perfect, is sin. And I just think, and I just hope and pray that that we can kind of look up and see where we've been, where we're at, and where we really need to go.
Yeah. Hey, Paul, I got to get to this break. I'm at the end of this show, and I don't have a lot of flexibility because Kalen DeBoer's show is going to start immediately following this one. Appreciate you, Paul. Job well done, man.
Roll Tide and roll MAGA.
What a call. Let's continue with more phone calls next. T-Town Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Top workplaces? Join their growing team. Go to progressive.com/careers and apply online today. That's progressive.com/careers.
El Grant is the great Mexican place in Winn-Dixie Shopping Center. Go over and see my friends Carlos, 205-391-4555, 62 McFarland Boulevard, Monday through Thursday, 11 until 9:30. Friday and Saturday, 11 until 10:30. Sunday, also open 11 until 9. You'll find the great daily lunch specials. You'll find great entrees, including the great...
Introducing a fresh new way to save with your Baker's Points. Now you can choose between saving on fuel or saving on your next purchase with new Rewards Cash. You'll still earn points every time you shop at Baker's. Then when you're ready to redeem your points, you can choose to save up to $1 per gallon at the pump or redeem your points to save on your next purchase. It's a fresh new way to save. Your points, your choice. Baker's, fresh for everyone. Not available in all locations. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
Okay, class. Vos está pronto.
Estamos prontos.
However you learn, Babbel makes it easy. Try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Big Mike's downtown Moundville, only about 15 minutes from where I'm located. Also in Gunnersville, Alabama, Thomasville, Andalusia, Auburn, Alabama, Orange Beach. You'll find one of the best steaks in the state of Alabama, voted by the Alabama Cattlemen's Association and many other great publications recognizing the great ribeye, the seafood entrees. You'll find those, the great service,
and high quality ingredients. We want to say, that sounds great. We've been doing that since 1974. Under the biggest cactus in town, Taco Casa.
The best breakdown of Alabama football in the state. The Game with Ryan Fowler. On your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Okay, the phone lines are completely jammed up. We're going to try to get to these as quick as we possibly can. Let's go to Corey first up. Corey, good afternoon. Give me a score. Go.
Oh, hey, Ryan. How you doing this afternoon?
I'm good. What's your score?
31-21 Alabama.
And Jalen Milroe passing yards?
220.
220. Corey, thank you so much. Roll Tide to you, man.
Roll Tide, Ryan.
Roll Tide. Tommy, hope your brother's doing good, man. Welcome into the game. Give me a score.
He's home. Alabama 35, LSU 34, Milroe 269.
269. He's doing good, though. Give us a thumbs up because a lot of people want to hear from him.
Yeah, we home. We came home last night real quick.
Let Wyman know that we're praying for him, man. Thank you so much, Tommy.
Oh, thank you for everything. Talk to you later.
Okay. All right. Let's go to Mary in Tuscaloosa. Mary, good afternoon. You're in the game.
Hey, good afternoon, Ryan. Just wanted to get my score in right quick. I'm going to go Bama 38, LSU 21.
All right. 38-21. Jalen Milroe passing numbers.
Give me 245.
245. 38-21, 245. Mary, thank you so much, and thank you for your vote over in Georgia. I know you talked about this a few days ago. Big salute to you from
Yes.
Tuscaloosa. Thank you.
Absolutely. Have a good one. Roll Tide.
You do as well. Let's go to Greg. Greg, good afternoon. You're in the game.
Good afternoon, Ryan. I gave my score yesterday. Half of the goal to clean up the toilet bowl of Louisiana and Washington is complete. Roll, MAGA, roll. Next, Louisiana. LSU, you're next.
All right, Greg. Thank you, man. Roll Tide. Anybody else? Jackson, Roll Tide, Greg. Thank you. Jackson, anything else, man, that we need to get to? I know we're just literally out of time. We want to squeeze.
Callers are clear.
Okay, let's take a deep breath. 4 hours. Final thoughts.
I'm just proud of America.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's the biggest thing. And for those who didn't win, we fight every day to make this country the best we possibly can. It's not perfect, but I promise you, I've had a chance to travel to many different countries. I've had a chance to experience things that a lot of people haven't. My passport is full of different stamps from different countries. I wouldn't trade this place for anything. I'm appreciative of where we stand. I thank the Patriots. I thank each and every one of you guys that stand behind this show and that give me the opportunity to hang out with the best fans of the country. We've got Kayla DeVore show starting here in just a couple of minutes. I want to thank our law enforcement officers, EMTs, firefighters, first responders, but more importantly, we thank everybody for the popular vote, the Americans, everybody that came together and said, we don't want to go that direction. We say thank you. We salute you. We'll get back to LSU and Alabama. We talked about a lot today, Southern Al High School Prediction Day. I remind you, most importantly, that we call this program the game. And all of us can win the big game, but we must walk daily with our Lord and